reason I got the car was because it had a rotary in it. I've got to have the 7. It's the legend, it's the one, and it has to have a turbo. You know, I'd be really lying if I didn't say Initial D had something to do with it, because that's an awesome show. But initially, I discovered them, or I found out about them, because my dad owned an RX-2, and his dad had told him, this is the future, these rotary-powered cars, this is going to be what everything is on the street. And while he couldn't have been more wrong, it definitely was an interesting thought, and definitely something that really provoked me into getting one in the end. Alright, this is a 1990 GTU turned into a Turbo 2. Found it down in Akron after I decided I really wanted an RX-7 and it had to be turbo. This guy had already done the conversion for me. But I went into it thinking I was going to get an RX-8 because I thought I'd just sell my daily driver and try and daily drive an RX-8. And I test drove one. That was my first experience with a rotary, and I couldn't believe how real the hype was about this engine just being buttery smooth, but still so oddly powerful. I don't know. I can't really put it into words. You kind of just have to drive one, and not just ride in one. You have to actually feel how it works. It's such a visceral, real experience in it. Picked it up for only about $3,000, which was awesome. I think the guy was just really trying to get rid of it. Plus, or at least that's what I thought then, because I found out it had a lot more wrong with it than it initially seemed to. Really the biggest stroke of luck I had with it was when I got it towed out to Indiana. I was going to have Banzai Racing redo the whole engine for me. And the tow truck driver completely destroyed the whole entire front end. He let it roll off of the truck into the back window, destroyed my original Mazda Speed front lip that I still can't find another one, and took out one headlight. Long story short, they didn't want to get insurance involved, so they wrote me a big fat check, and I took that straight to Banzai Racing. I'm like, what can we do with this? And I figured I'd just do the body work myself. So after I got that check from the towing company, I decided to go as far out as I possibly could with it. I didn't Bridgeport it, but I did street port it. Obviously larger injectors. It still has the original Hitachi turbo in it, but its boost has been more than doubled now to 14 pounds, which is a fair amount for a rotary. It's got the downpipe, catless exhaust. It's got a real fun thing that I put in it where it has butterflies, so you can have it wide open, or it'll be as quiet as like a Prius on the highway if you shut it down. It's got the larger intercooler on it, other than that tiny little thing that you get on the original Turbo 2. And just simple other little things like an oil catch can and the usual suspects. Oh yeah, forgot to mention the suspension. It's real stiff, it's not original. I want to say the fronts are something like 10 kilogram per millimeter, something like that in the front, and I think the rears are 8 kilogram per millimeter. So they're real stiff. I think one of the hardest things about owning an RX-7 is you will love it really unconditionally if it's the right car for you, but it's a hard car to recommend to anyone. And people will be like, that's a cool car, I love the power, I love how it works, it sounds really cool. some people hate how it sounds, but some people love it. But you can't, it's a car that you can't really recommend to somebody or anybody because you know, not everybody's really up for it. I mean, you've got to be watching the heat, the temperature. You got to be watching the oil level at all time. And if you really want to make it foolproof, I mean, you've got to start adding some newer technology into these things. You need a better, more accurate computer system. You need better radiators for sure, and newer apex seals. And you got to be prepared to dump a lot of money into one as soon as you get it. So I think the hardest part is loving it and wanting the world to know how much you love it, but you kind of have to secretly go, don't do it. For me, the reason I got the car was because it had a rotary in it. I mean, I think it's a beautiful car. I think pretty much all RX-7s are pretty beautiful. But I could definitely think, honestly, about 10 cars, I think, right off the top of my head that are probably better looking, but they just don't have this weird, unearthly, crazy experience that you gotta work for it. You know, you gotta love it. You gotta love driving so much in order to maintain one. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people lose touch with what a sports car is. It's not supposed to be friendly and creature comforted. It's supposed to be a little raw. It's supposed to be a little strange. It's supposed to be just for fun. You're not, you know, if you can get groceries in it, that's good, but that shouldn't be why it was made.